Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
This time, we're tackling a bowl game that's, well, let's just say it's got more twists and turns than your average Hollywood thriller.
Oh, this should be good. I love a good bowl game surprise.
Yeah, the LA Bowl. Cal Golden Bears taking on the UNLV Rebels.
Interesting matchup. On the surface, maybe not the flashiest, but
But that's why we're here, right? To uncover the hidden stories, the stuff the casual fan might miss.
exactly. And trust me, with this game, there's a lot lurking beneath the surface. We're talking coaching chaos, player departures, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, let's set the stage for our listeners. We've got UNLV. They finished the season 10-3, coming off a tough loss to Boise State in the Mountain West Championship.
Yeah, they're the favorites heading into the LA Bowl, at least according to the odds makers. But here's the kicker. Their head coach just bolted for Purdue.
Oh, yeah. Barry Odom. Big move for him, but leaves UNLV in a bit of a lurch.
And it's not just the head coach. Their offensive coordinator, we're not even sure if he'll be calling plays for the bowl game. A lot of uncertainty swirling around a team that offensively was pretty darn good this year.
Then you got Cal. Just squeaked into bowl eligibility at 6-6. Got thumped by SMU in their last game.
And on top of that, their starting quarterback decided to hit the transfer portal. Big hole to fill on offense.
So both teams are dealing with some serious question marks. Feels like both sides are playing with, I don't know, like half a deck of cards each.
That's a great analogy. This isn't your typical bowl game where it's just about who's got the better record. It's about who can adapt, who can overcome these challenges. It's a test of resilience.
All right, so let's dig into the matchup itself. UNLV, even with the coaching carousel spinning, they still bring some serious firepower to the table, right?
Oh, absolutely. Their quarterback, Malik Williams, dual threat, can sling it, can run it, over 1,800 passing yards, 17 touchdowns through the air. But then, get this, over 800 rushing yards and another 9 touchdowns on the ground.
Whoa, that's almost like 2 seasons worth of stats for most quarterbacks. He's putting up video game numbers.
Yeah, he's a highlight reel waiting to happen.
Wow.
And then you add in Ricky White III at wide receiver.
I remember him, yeah. Dude can fly. Over 1,000 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns this season. Big play threat for sure.
Exactly. White stretches the field, opens things up for the run game, and don't sleep on their running back, Jiden Thomas. Consistent, grinds out yards, averages over 84 yards per game. UNLV, even without their usual play caller, they've got the weapons to light up the scoreboard.
Okay, so how does Cal, a team that seemed to rely heavily on their running game, how do they even begin to match up with that kind of offensive firepower?
Well, that's where things get interesting, Cal. Their strength isn't their offense. It's their defense. They were second in the ACC in scoring defense, only giving up, on average, 22 points a game.
Wait, second in the ACC? That's impressive, especially considering some of the offensive powerhouses in that conference.
Yeah, they're stingy, opportunistic. They force turnovers, don't give up big plays. They could be the key to keeping UNLV's offense in check.
So we're potentially looking at a clash of styles here. UNLV wants to put up points, Cal wants to grind it out, win a low-scoring affair.
Could be. But let's not forget, Cal's got their own quarterback situation to figure out. Their starter's gone, their backup, Chandler Rogers, he might be nursing an injury. Big question mark, who's taking snaps for them and how effective they can be.
Ah, that's a good point. Almost like we're watching 2 completely different games unfold at the same time. Quarterback play will definitely be a factor, but what about other individual matchups? Any key players we should keep an eye on?
Oh, definitely. On the UNLV side, I'd watch out for their linebacker, Jackson Woodard. Tackling machine. 124 tackles on the season. He's the heart of their defense. Could disrupt Cal's run game, force them into uncomfortable situations.
Feels like a guy Cal's running backs will need to account for on every play. Speaking of which, you mentioned Shivian Thomas earlier. What makes him such a dangerous runner?
Thomas. He's got a nice blend of power and speed. He can run you over, but he's also got that burst to break away for big gains. If he gets going, it could spell trouble for UNLV's defense.
And what about Jaden Ott? He can be electric when he's healthy, right?
Yeah, Ott is a game changer. Can hurt you in both the run and pass game. The problem is he's been battling injuries all year. If he's healthy, though, Cal's offense becomes a lot more dangerous. Gives them another option to counter that UNLV defensive pressure, which could be crucial given the uncertainty at quarterback.
All right, so we've talked players, but let's not forget the elephant in the room. Coaching changes. Barry Odom leaving UNLV for Purdue, that's got to throw a wrench into things.
No doubt. Creates a lot of uncertainty. Players might be wondering about the future of the program, which can impact their focus, their motivation. Interim coach Del Alexander, he's got his work cut out for him. Keeping this team focused on the bowl game, that's a tough ask.
And on the Cal side, offensive coordinator Mike Bloesch is out. How might that impact their game plan? Will they stick with the run-heavy approach we've seen? Or do they try to open up the passing game, even with a backup quarterback?
That's the big question, isn't it? Fascinating to see how they adjust their strategy. Do they protect the inexperienced quarterback with a run-first approach? Or try to catch UNLV off guard, do something unexpected?
It almost feels like, even though both these programs have been around forever, it's like we're watching two completely new teams take the field.
That's a great way to put it. The LA Bowl has become this fascinating case study in adaptability, in resilience. Which team can handle the distractions, the curveballs, and still execute their game plan?
This deep dive is certainly living up to its name. We've uncovered a lot already, but I feel like we're just getting started. There's so much more to unpack, especially when it comes to the injuries. Knowing who's in, who's out, that could be crucial to understanding how this game unfolds.
Oh, absolutely. Injuries can really shake things up, especially in a bowl game.
All right, well, let's dive into those injuries then, starting with Cal. We know Chandler Rogers got dinged up in that last game against SMU. What's the latest on his status?
Well, the reports are, kind of all over the place. Some say he's expected to start, others suggesting he might be limited or even held out altogether.
Sounds like a game-time decision then.
Yeah.
And if he can't go, that means either C.J. Harris or E.G. Caminon get the nod. Neither of them have much experience at the college level.
Nope. And that could be a huge advantage for UNLV. Having a seasoned quarterback, especially in a pressure cooker like a bowl game, that makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
More flexibility with the play calling, able to adjust to whatever the defense throws at you.
So Rogers is the big one to watch, but any other injuries on Cal's side we should be aware of?
Jaden Ott, that explosive running back, he's been dealing with nagging injuries all year. When he's healthy, he's a difference maker, but big question mark whether he'll be at full strength for the LA Bowl.
It's a shame, because a healthy Ott adds a whole other dimension to their offense. But that's football, right? Injuries are part of the game. Coaches got to adjust, find ways to win, no matter who's on the field.
You said it. Speaking of adjustments, what about UNLV? Any injury concerns for them?
Well, they've been pretty healthy overall. A couple guys to keep an eye on, though. Austin Agiake, their linebacker, left the Mountain West Championship game with an ankle injury. Not sure if he'll be ready for the LA Bowl.
Agiake is a key piece for them. Disruptive force in the middle of their defense. If he's out, it makes Cal's job a bit easier, especially if they lean heavily on the run.
And then there's their wide receiver, Kyle Williams. He's been battling a hamstring injury. If he's not 100%, it could impact their passing attack.
Yeah, Williams is a speedster. Big play potential every time he touches the ball.
Okay, so injuries on both sides at key positions adds another layer of intrigue to an already fascinating matchup.
You're telling me this LA Bowl is turning into a real chess match. Two teams trying to overcome some significant obstacles. It's going to come down to who can handle the adversity, who can execute their game plan, despite all the challenges.
We've got coaching changes, player departures, injury concerns. This is why we do these deep dives, right?
Absolutely. The LA Bowl, it's more than just a game. It's a story, a test of character, a glimpse into the ever-changing landscape of college football, and we're just getting started.
You're right. And in our next installment, we'll explore the historical context, dive into the stats even further, and then, we'll start making our predictions.
Can't wait. This LA Bowl, it's got all the ingredients for a classic.
And for our listeners, we hope this deep dive is giving you a new appreciation for all the factors at play in this matchup. It's not just about the final score. It's about understanding the why behind the what.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Stay tuned for part 2. You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about, the immediate stuff with this LA Bowl matchup.
Yeah, all the coaching changes, the injuries, who to watch out for.
Exactly. But I think, sometimes it's good to take a step back, look at the bigger picture.
Okay, I like where you're going with this. So what's the historical context? Cal and UNLV, any history there?
Well, they've only played each other once before, way back in 1996, I believe.
Oh, that's a long time ago. Pre-internet era, almost.
Right. Cal won that game pretty handily, 55-14.
Sheesh, real blowout.
Yeah.
But I imagine both programs, they've changed a lot since then.
Oh, absolutely. Cal, they've had some good years in the Pac-12, even made it to the Rose Bowl back in 2004. UNLV, they've had, a more up-and-down journey, you could say.
But this year, it's UNLV coming in as the favorite. Kind of a role reversal, huh?
It is, and it just shows you, college football, it's a cycle. Teams rise and fall, programs evolve. This LA Bowl, it's a perfect example of that.
All right, so we've got the history lesson, but what about the here and now, the stats? What do they tell us about this matchup?
Statistically, UNLV, they have got the advantage on offense. Averaged over 36 points a game this season. Cal, a little over 26. That offensive firepower, it's hard to ignore.
But we know Cal's defense, that's their strength, right? Could that be enough to even things out?
That's the big question, isn't it? Cal's defense, second in the ACC, only giving up on average about 22 points a game. And they were especially tough against the run.
Yeah, I remember looking at that. Only giving up like 3.8 yards per carry. That's pretty dominant.
So if they can shut down UNLV's running game, which, let's be honest, it's a big part of their success, then yeah, they could have a shot at pulling off the upset.
So it's like strength versus strength, right? UNLV wants to score points. Cal wants to shut you down.
Exactly. Classic battle of styles. Which unit, which side of the ball is going to dictate the tempo, the flow of the game? That's going to be fun to watch.
And don't forget special teams.
Yeah.
We talked about Cal's punter, Jamison Sheehan. He can really flip the field.
Oh yeah, field position, that could be huge in this game. Especially if both offenses struggle to get going.
So,
Cal pinning UNLV deep in their own territory, that could be a game changer.
all right, history, stats, we've covered it all. Now it's time for the fun part. Predictions. What's your gut telling you?
Man, this one is tough. So many factors, so many unknowns, the coaching changes, the injuries. It's really a toss-up.
Come on, you got to pick a side. Who you got winning this thing?
All right. If I'm putting money on it, I'm leaning slightly towards UNLV. Just think they've got a little more firepower on offense. Even with the coaching changes, I think they'll find a way to score enough points.
I hear you. But I'm feeling a little bolder. I'm going Cal upset. I think that defense, they're going to rise to the occasion. Plus, there's just something about an underdog story, you know?
I like it. You're going against the grain. I respect that. And
Yeah.
hey, it wouldn't shock me if Cal pulled it off. They've certainly got the talent on defense to keep it close.
This is why we love sports, right?
Yeah.
The upsets, the unexpected, all the drama.
Couldn't agree more. This LA Bowl, it's a real nail-biter. Could go down to the wire.
Before we lock in our final predictions, though, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about all the, well, upheaval in college football these days.
Oh, yeah, the transfer portal, the coaching changes. It's like everything's in constant motion.
It's exciting, for sure, but is it good for the sport? I mean, is all this change a good thing?
That's a tough one. It's complex, you know. On the one hand, it does make things more exciting, more unpredictable. Players have more power, more choices. Coaches, too.
But it can also feel, I don't know, a little unstable. Like it's hard to build, you know, those long-lasting connections with teams, with players.
Yeah, there's something to be said for tradition, for continuity, but maybe those days, they're gone. Maybe this is the new normal.
So how do we, as fans, how do we adapt to this new reality? How do we find the meaning, the excitement in a sport that's constantly changing?
I think it's about, embracing the unknown, appreciating the individual stories, even amidst all the chaos. Recognizing that college football, it's not static. It evolves.
It's about finding those constants, right? The passion, the competition, the joy of victory. Those things, they'll always be there, no matter how much things change around them.
Exactly. And this LA Bowl, it's a perfect example of that. Two teams dealing with uncertainty, adapting on the fly, but still, they're out there, competing, giving it their all.
It's almost like amidst all the chaos, there's this beauty in their resilience, in their ability to adapt, to overcome.
And that's what makes this game so compelling. It's more than just X's and O's. It's about the human element, the stories, the challenges, the triumphs.
Well said. And I think that's a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive.
Where we get to, really dive into the heart of this matchup, the players themselves.
It's time to shift our focus, go from the big picture to the individual stories.
To those players, the ones who might not always make the headlines, but who are absolutely crucial to how this game plays out.
Because in the end, this LA Bowl, it's not about coaching changes or stats or anything like that. It's about the players, the ones who put in the work, the dedication, the passion.
They're the ones who are going to decide this game. Their effort, their individual battles, that's what's going to determine who wins and who loses.
So let's get to know these players, the ones who are writing the next chapter in this Cal UNLV story.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we've gone through the history, the stats. We've even talked about the bigger picture of college football. Now it's time for the main event, predictions. Time to make some calls on this LA Bowl.
The moment of truth. Right. We've analyzed this thing from every angle, and now we got to put our reputations on the line.
All right, so let's recap. UNLV, high-powered offense.
Yeah.
Right. averaging over 36 points a game.
Yeah, Malik Williams at quarterback, he's a problem. And they've got weapons all around him.
But they've got that coaching situation. New head coach gone, offensive coordinator, who knows?
Yeah, can they keep that offensive momentum going with all that change? That's the question.
Then you got Cal. Defense is their calling card.
Top-notch defense. Second in the ACC in points allowed. Disciplined, forced turnovers, they can be a nightmare to go up against.
But their offense is a bit of a mystery, right? Starting quarterback gone, backup might be hurt.
Big question mark there. Who's under center for them, and can they move the ball against a UNLV defense that, they're not slouches?
It's a real clash of styles. So many factors at play. But we got to make a choice, a prediction for our listeners. Let's hear it. What's your gut telling you?
All right, I'm going UNLV, but it's going to be close. I'm saying 27-24. I think even with the coaching changes, they'll find a way to put up enough points.
UNLV, huh? Okay, I see your point. I respect the analysis, but I'm going to have to disagree. I'm taking Cal, and I'm saying upset. 21-20, Cal wins a close one.
Wow, going bold. All right, I like it. What's making you so confident in the Golden Bears?
That defense, man. I think they step up big time, shut down UNLV's running game. And I think even with the quarterback situation, they'll do just enough on offense to get the win. Plus, I'm a sucker for a good underdog story.
I hear you. Defensive struggle, back and forth, comes down to the wire. Yeah, I can see that happening. It's going to be a good one.
That's why we love college football, right? The unpredictability, the possibility of an upset.
You said it. You never know what's going to happen, and that's what keeps us coming back.
And for our listeners, no matter who you're rooting for, we hope you enjoy the LA Bowl. This one's got all the makings of a classic.
Absolutely. Should be a great game.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with a thought. College football. It's changing, right?
All the time. Transfers, coaching changes. It's a different landscape than it was even a few years ago.
But there are some things that don't change. The passion of the fans, the dedication of the players.
The pursuit of excellence, that'll always be there.
So when you're watching the LA Bowl, appreciate the game. But think about the bigger picture, too. The stories of the players, the history of these programs, all of the things that make college football so special.
It's more than just a game.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our LA Bowl deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
Keep digging, stay curious, and enjoy the game.
Oh, this you crazy mother...